Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into a title that really grabs your attention. The Death of Code Monkeys.
Definitely provocative.
Yeah, it comes from a white paper by EON Reality. Now, these guys have been in the VR and AR space for 25 years. A tough market.
Incredibly tough.
And the core idea they're putting out there is fascinating. How did surviving that sort of VR graveyard accidentally prepare them for the AI revolution?
Right.
And what does that actually mean for where the value is now? Is it technical chops or is it like creative vision?
Exactly. So the mission for this deep dive is really to take that core thesis from the EON paper and, well, explore its main arguments.
Okay.
They make a pretty bold claim about a big shift happening in the digital economy, and we want to understand their reasoning, based on their own experience.
See it through their eyes, essentially.
Yeah, looking at the world through the lens of this specific source material.
Got it. So let's start with that origin story they lay out.
Yeah.
25 years in interactive digital stuff, VR, AR, you name it.
A long time.
And the paper, it doesn't pull any punches. It calls the market over that time a graveyard.
Which honestly feels fair.
It does. We've seen huge companies, really well-funded ones, try and fail in VRR. You think of Magic.
Oh, yeah. Reportedly burned through, $2.6 billion?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then scaled way back, or even Google abandoning big projects.
True.
Yet, EON Reality, they survived. More than survived, they grew to $500 million in revenue. And here's the kicker.
Without the massive VC war chests.
Exactly. Unlike so many others. The white paper says this wasn't luck, it was forced resourcefulness.
And that's the interesting part, according to the source, how that period of, tight constraints turned out to be the perfect, if accidental, training for the AI era.
How so?
Well, because they didn't have mountains of VC cash, right? They couldn't just chase speculative bubbles or build huge bloated teams.
Makes sense.
They were forced to focus, laser focus really, on finding and solving real customer problems.
Problems people would actually pay to solve.
Yeah, precisely. Their business model had to be about sustainable revenue from actual users, not just, burning investor money, hoping for a payoff way down the line.
Right.
And this environment also demanded innovation, but a specific kind, what they call physics-based innovation.
Okay. What does that mean in practice?
Well, in VRR, it likely means focusing on making simulations and interactions that are realistic, functional, grounded in physical principles. Not just flashy graphics, but stuff that works and solves a real-world issue.
Substance over style, maybe?
Kinda, yeah. And doing it all with lean operations. So this whole approach, tight resources, real problems, sustainable income, fundamental innovation, lean teams. It wasn't some grand strategy for AI.
With survival.
It was just survival in a brutal market. But the paper argues that approach is now the optimal strategy for using AI to scale up fast.
Huh.
The chairman, Dan Lajerskar, is quoted reflecting on it. He said they were just too stubborn to quit, and that the lack of big VC money forced them to build a real business solving real problems.
And now that's their advantage.
Yeah, that's what they claim is their competitive edge now in the AI landscape.
Okay, so necessity built this resilient, lean structure. But here's where the paper makes its, let's say, most striking argument, where the Death of Code Monkeys title comes from.
Right, the big claim.
The source argues AI isn't just changing how we build things, it's changing the value hierarchy in tech. Fundamentally.
Yeah.
They use these really provocative phrases like, idea guys just inherited the digital earth.
And post-technical profits. It's definitely designed to make you sit up and listen.
For sure. So what's the mechanism here? How does AI flip the script?
Well, the paper really leans into this question. If technical execution, like coding, was the bottleneck, the thing that commanded huge salaries in Silicon Valley, what happens when AI basically removes that bottleneck?
Okay.
It connects to predictions like Sam Altman's about intelligence too cheap to meter. The argument is these sophisticated AI models, costing maybe $20 a month, hypothetically, they can now do many tasks that used to require highly paid senior developers, people earning, say, $200K a year or even more.
So not replacing them entirely,
but making a big chunk of that traditional technical execution, writing boilerplate code, debugging, basic infrastructure setup, repetitive stuff, making it a commodity service.
available on demand.
Cheaply. Exactly. Available via AI, losing its premium price tag.
So if how the technical bit becomes cheap, what becomes valuable then, according to this paper?
The source is very clear here. It argues that when execution is abundant and cheap because of AI, The value shifts upstream
Upstream to what?
to figuring out what gets executed and why. So creative vision and market insight, these become the ultimate differentiators.
Oh, okay.
Knowing the problem worth solving, having the unique product idea, understanding the customer, setting the strategy, that's what the paper says will now command highest value.
Right, the direction, not just the engine.
Perfectly put. And that Lejerskar quote fits here too. He recalls how the tech world used to mock idea guys who weren't deep techies. But he argues, in this new AI world, that vision, market understanding, and just sheer persistence are what win, because AI gives you the execution power they lacked before.
It's a total inversion then.
A profound inversion of the traditional tech hierarchy, according to the source.
Wow. Okay, that's a big idea. The people knowing what and why, not just how. How does this actually look inside a company trying to operate this way? The paper talks about EON moving to a 1,000-agent company model.
Exactly. That model is presented as the practical outcome of execution becoming commoditized. It means scaling using AI, not just hiring more humans, especially for those technical or execution roles.
Okay.
So instead of needing to recruit, onboard, train, manage huge teams of developers, testers, maybe even content creators for basic stuff,
You use AI agents.
you deploy specialized AI agents or tools that do these tasks, potentially much faster and at a larger scale.
So hold on, it's not about firing everyone. It's about replacing the need for massive teams doing certain kinds of work.
That seems to be the core idea presented, yes. And the benefits they describe are, well, transformative. It eliminates traditional bottlenecks of human scaling, hiring time, costs, management overhead.
Right, the usual growing pains.
Yeah. It offers what they call infinite scalability. Theoretically, you can spin up thousands of AI instances for a task spike. Impossible with people. It allows instant deployment of specialized capabilities. No need to find and train someone with a niche skill if an AI can do it. And maybe the most stark point from the source, it allows for perfect execution of strategic vision without human limitations, meaning AI doesn't get tired, make typos, or misunderstand instructions in the same way.
That's quite a claim.
It is. Lejerskar contrasts it with the past, saying things that took massive teams and years now happen in weeks with AI assistance.
So that initial constraint, being forced to be lean.
He frames it as now being their competitive moat. It let them quickly adopt this efficient, scalable, 1,000-agent model because they were already built that way, essentially.
This really paints a picture of a very different kind of company. Let's widen the lens now. What does this white paper predict for the whole industry? What about VCs, careers, other businesses not built this way?
Right, the ripple effects. The source gets into some potentially disruptive predictions here. For venture capital, it projects a major shift.
How so?
Less infrastructure funding, money just to hire tons of engineers and build tech from scratch. The prediction is a shift towards vision funding.
Funding the idea, guys.
Basically, yeah. VCs prioritizing companies with sharp market insights, strong creative vision, and lean structures that leverage AI for the execution rather than just funding headcount.
That would be a massive change from the last few decades.
Huge. And then there's the career prediction, which is pretty bold. They forecast a career inversion. Meaning creative roles, focusing on ideas, human needs, design, strategy. Those are predicted to command premium salaries.
Okay, and the flip side?
The flip side, according to the paper, is that traditional technical salaries, specifically for execution-level coding, could potentially crash 40–60% by 2026.
Wow. 40 to 60%, that's stark.
It's a very specific and jarring prediction based on that argument that AI makes the execution part a commodity. Definitely something for anyone in a technical role to think about, at least based on this source's view.
No kidding. What else? Business models.
Yeah, it touches on business models too. It highlights customer-funded growth, like EON had to do, as likely outperforming the old venture-funded burn model in AI market.
Because it's more sustainable.
And because lean competitors, supercharged by AI using that 1,000-agent idea, become incredibly efficient. The paper frames them as posing existential threats to bigger, traditional companies, bogged down by expensive human teams and slower cycles.
The cost and speed advantages just become too much.
That's the argument. So for you, the listener, thinking about your career or your company or where investment's going, these predicted shifts, if they pan out, could be huge. Something to seriously consider based on this white paper.
Definitely a lot to chew on there. Okay, so quick recap of this deep dive into the EON Reality paper, The Death of Code Monkeys.
That's good.
We looked at how EON's tough 25-year survival in VR Being resourceful without huge VC funds accidentally set them up for the AI era.
Right, the accidental template.
Then the core idea. AI flipping the value chain. Technical execution becoming cheap. Creative vision and market insight becoming premium.
The idea guys inheriting the earth, as they put it.
We touched on the practical side, that 1,000-agent company model, scaling with AI instead of just people.
Eliminating bottlenecks, enabling speed.
And finally, the broader predictions from the paper.
Yeah.
Changes for VCs, that potential career inversion with salary shifts, and lean AI companies threatening incumbents.
A pretty comprehensive picture from their perspective.
So as a final thought for everyone listening, based on this source.
Yeah, maybe consider this. If execution is becoming cheap and abundant and ideas are becoming the real currency, what does that actually mean for how you should think about building your skills or finding opportunities or even just organizing work in the next few years? This great Silicon Valley reversal described in the source definitely leaves us with some big questions about what comes next.